You can watch the debates and you can handicap the candidates, but understand that whether or not you watch this game, you're still going to pay for the stadium, and the players are still going to be picked by the billionaires. And there was an excellent satire from the New Yorker saying billionaire acquires Rubio pending physical. They say that Paul Singer has acquired Florida Senator Marco Rubio for a rumored 8-figure sum pending a physical. He got an option for 4 years. He got him for 4 years with an option for another 4 years. That's precisely the case. And when we look at how these people are buying up our candidates, we need to be concerned about the kinds of billionaires that are buying them up. When we look at Paul Singer, understand that this is a guy who is the very embodiment not only of vulture capitalism, but also of taking over small countries, holding a gun to their head, buying their debt at a very small amount of money. Look at what he did to Argentina. He went in, he bought up their debt at 30 cents per dollar, a face value of $630 million. He bought it for less than 10 cents on a dollar, $48 million. But then he added interest charges to it, got it up to $2.4 billion, held a gun to their head, and that's the way he makes his money. Those are the kind of people who are writing the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Those are the kind of people who are controlling our candidates. And it is not just Jeb Bush and Marco Rubio. Ted Cruz has one of the largest collectors of billionaire funds as well. Follow the money. See who owns these guys. We'll be right back.
I began to get into iodine a few years ago because it was helping me and my family so much get healthy and detoxify. I believe our research is conclusive. This is the best iodine out there. And I know this for a fact. Nobody else has got iodine based on these pure crystals, ladies and gentlemen. For a limited time, experience the ancient power of Survival Shield X2. I believe our research is conclusive. This is the best iodine out there. Take advantage of this at InfoWarsLife.com.
And why wearing a Hillary for President t-shirt might get you punched in the face.
They thought it said Hillary for President. He said, I was seconds away from sending my bar back over here to punch you in the face. Since you're wearing a Hillary for Prison shirt, you don't have to buy drinks here. Everything's on the house.
Hillary for President! Hillary's not surging, I tell you that. They're not saying that. They're not saying that. Thank you.
There you have it. Donald Trump endorses Hillary for Prison. Get your Hillary for Prison 2016 t-shirt at the InfoWars store. And on the back, it says, legalize freedom. Show your disapproval of Hillary by buying your t-shirt today.
But what she's done is criminal.
This is an American president. Just add puppet, then vote and repeat every 4 years.
Welcome back. Remember in the last segment I was talking about Paul Singer, the billionaire who just acquired Marco Rubio. It's very interesting to compare him to the little hedge fund yuppie who acquired that pharmaceutical company and raised the price of the drugs by 5,000%. That's essentially what Paul Singer, Marco Rubio's new owner, did to an entire country. He acquired the sovereign debt of Argentina and then went for a 50-to-1 return on investment because that's the way the billionaires roll. That's how they make all their money. Now, tomorrow there's a measure on the ballot of Ohio about marijuana. Not simply about legalizing marijuana. This is a ballot measure that was bankrolled by wealthy investors. They spent nearly $25 million to put it on the ballot and sell it to voters. It wasn't that nice of them. How altruistic of them to try to stop the suffering of this unconstitutional war on drugs. No, that's not why they did it. If it passes, these people will have exclusive rights to growing commercial marijuana in Ohio. As the New York Times reports, on the ballot, Ohio is going to grapple with the specter of a marijuana monopoly because that's the way these global elitists roll in everything. They want to own everything, and they want to dictate to you what you can and cannot do with your life. We need to be very concerned about this type of pattern. As a person who worked his entire life to stop the criminalization of marijuana pointed out, this is nothing but opportunists seeking monopolistic control. That's what we see everywhere. That's what's going on globally. Now, when we look at the monopolistic greed that's behind these mandates, the greed that's behind the loss of consent for vaccines, you need to be informed of what can happen. A perfectly healthy girl, 9, paralyzed by a flu shot. Rob Dew has more.
Rob Dew reporting for INFOWARS.com with another story about a victim of the medical industrial complex. That's right. We have another little girl who's going to be a lifelong customer of these heathens who have basically destroyed another life in the long chain of lives that they continue to destroy by pushing vaccines, especially ones on children. Now, I'm talking about a little girl. We wrote about this today, Adon Salazar's article, and the headline, perfectly healthy girl, 9, paralyzed by flu shot, family claims. And here you see a picture of her in the hospital bed. And as we scroll, we can see before she was actually, a bright, bubbly little girl. There she is climbing a tree. Then we got another picture of her in a little outfit dancing. And now here she is in a wheelchair. This is what she's going to look forward to, at least for a year, they're saying, maybe even longer. But here's what her parents had to say of what happened to her just 2 days after getting the flu shot.
And then her health went downhill.
8 hours later, she was profusely vomiting, and again Friday morning, and by Saturday she was paralyzed from the waist down, has seemed to went blind, totally blind, and it just seems that she had a seizure.
Doctors, they say, don't yet know what happened or why, but they point to one thing.
But we know in our hearts this was the flu vaccine that made her ill.
So doctors don't know why. Well, here's what I do when I look at these vaccines. I go right to the source, the insert. And here we see one for BioCSL. That's right, is the drug Alflura. And it is for the 2015-2016 formula. You can see that right there. And here we see they want 1 or 2 doses, at least 1 month apart if you're between 5 and 8 years of age, 9 years or older, 1 dose. Now let's look what's in one of these doses. Oh, the Marisol, a mercury derivative, is not used in the manufacturing process for the single dose, and therefore these products contain no preservative. The multi-dose presentation contains the Marisol, 24.5 micrograms right there of mercury. And so that's the multi-dose. Who knows if she got the single or multi-dose? She was 9 years old, so she was right on that cusp of getting the single or multi-dose. But let's look at here's a old vintage Alex Jones show from his Access days, talking about the KI report that we played many times here on INFOWARS.com. Here it is, that mercury is good for you. This is what they want you to think.
Safe levels. So here is that piece, and then I will comment on it after you've had a chance to see it. Here it is.
Mercury-containing vaccines may have on kids.
A life-saving device wins over-the-counter approval by the FDA.
And sick of your glasses and contact lenses? A new corrective eye surgery is approved today. Here's tonight's medical headlines with Medical Watch reporter Seema Mather.
Mercury-containing vaccines may help, not harm kids, according to 2 new studies in the journal Pediatrics. There have been widespread concerns that mercury-based preservatives in vaccines might impair the neurological development of children. These new studies suggest that the opposite, that the preservatives may actually be associated with improved behavior and mental performance.
So that's just one of the reasons why the media will not search for answers as to why vaccines are causing children to be injured. Because they get paid by these companies in ad dollars. So they're never going to have anything bad to say about vaccines. That's why doctors don't know what's causing this little child to be paralyzed. And that's why, back in the day, Alex Jones was pointing out that they were saying mercury was actually good for you. Now let's go back to more of this insert. Here we go with the warnings and precautions. Fever and febrile seizures. They say in there they think she had a seizure. All right, Guillain-Barré syndrome, which is a paralyzing condition that occurs over your body. Well, she's now paralyzed. Then they have all these other little vaccine reactions that they talk about. And then let's look at here. So here's some other adverse reactions associated with the influenza vaccine. This is section 6.3. Neurological disorders temporarily associated with the influenza vaccine, such as encephalopathy, optic neuritis. All right, optic neuritis. Now let's look and see what that is. Optic neuritis is when you have damage to the optic nerve, and it eventually causes blindness. So another symptom of what she had, just listed right there in the insert. Okay, also facial paralysis, and there's other symptoms associated with that. So encephalopathy is just these brain disorders that they're not really sure what it is, but it could be from many different organic or inorganic causes. So those are just a few of the things that they say could happen to you when you take the flu shot. So this poor little girl ends up like this. Her parents don't know. Well, they know what it is. They know it's the flu shot because you know your kids. Now, the doctors are saying, well, we're not quite sure if it's the flu shot. And they're never going to admit that because vaccines are their bread and butter. It keeps the people coming in the door, especially young kids. And it's all about conditioning and brainwashing. They say you got to bring your kid in for a wellness check. And every time they come in for a wellness check, which basically we're just taking their weight and height, we're also going to give them a vaccine because these vaccines help. So that's why you have all these doctor visits scheduled the way they are. So every time you come in, you're getting a shot, and it's programming you to receive something from the pediatrician every time you go in to get a shot. Now, I want to end with this last piece, and this is from an article that we put out at the end of October. Investigate CDC fraud. Congressman calls for hearing on vaccine autism cover-up, and that's Florida Representative Bill Posey. Here's what he had to say when he went before the floor earlier this year about the CDC cover-up of vaccines.
For these reasons, I bring the following matter to the House floor. In August 2014, Dr. William Thompson, a senior scientist at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, worked with a whistleblower attorney to provide my office with documents related to a 2004 CDC study that examined the possibility of a relationship between mumps, measles, rubella vaccines, and autism. In a statement released in August 2014, Dr. Thompson stated, "I regret that my co-authors and I omitted statistically significant information in our 2004 article published in the Journal of Pediatrics. At the September 5th meeting, we discussed in detail how to code race for both the sample and the birth certificate sample. At the bottom of Table 7, it also shows that for the non-birth certificate sample, the adjusted race effect statistical significance was huge. All the authors and I met and decided sometime between August and September 2002 not to report any race effects for the paper. Sometime soon after the meeting, we decided to exclude reporting any race effects. The co-authors scheduled a meeting to destroy documents related to the study. The remaining 4 co-authors all met and brought a big garbage can into the meeting room and reviewed and went through all the hard copy documents that we had thought we should discard and put them in a huge garbage can."
And that was Congressman from Florida, Bill Posey, stating how he wants a congressional investigation into this MMR autism cover-up. And that's just going to open the door for more investigations, I think, into these vaccines. And like what you saw with this poor little girl, 9 years old, whole life ahead of her. And now she is stuck in a wheelchair. Her parents have started a GoFundMe campaign to raise money for a little wheelchair lift for the car. I mean, this is just heartbreaking of what they're doing to our kids. So please, before you get your vaccines, please read the damn insert. That is the best advice I can give you. And have a dictionary with you and look up the little terms that you don't know, but you don't know what they mean, all right? This has been Rob Dew reporting for INFOWARS.com and INFOWARS Nightly News.
That's it for tonight's news. Join us again tomorrow night at 7 Central, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Knockout is back. If you want a product that has 10 known ingredients that naturally get your body to relax, your brain to relax, so you get deep, restful sleep, Knockout's it. InfoWarsLife.com. L-theanine, hops flower extract, lemon balm extract, valerian root extract, chamomile flower extract, L-tryptophan extract, melatonin, and more. All organic, all the natural sources. It's the same price as leading brands of melatonin that are 3 milligrams apiece. It has 3 milligrams, the standard recommended dose for an adult. It's got the GABA, so it would probably cost $50 to take all this as separate pills. It's $19.95. You take 1 or 2 of these, and it just is really clean, restful sleep is what the reviews are. It's what I've experienced. and it just synergistically puts everything in there. InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com, or call 888-253-3139.
You are watching the InfoWars Nightly News, which airs 7 p.m. Central at InfoWarsNews.com. And your support is helping us defend liberty worldwide.